Hello and welcome to our pecha-kucha about Judaism. I think this one is going to be a little bit more familiar to you than our last two pecha-kuchas about uh, Korean shamanism and Zoroastrianism. But at the same time, it might be a little problematic. So I'm doing my best to provide kind of a general overview about what I know about Judaism and what I read on Wikipedia. But I'm going to make mistakes and people are going to disagree with me. So apologies in advance. And just keep reminded that this is what I can do in 6 minutes. So I'm going to do my best and we'll see how it goes. One of the first things that we have to deal with is that some historians, actually many historians, believe that what we know as Judaism developed from polytheism and that the monotheistic religion used to be polytheistic. And there's some evidence for that in the Bible. The commandment, "You shall have no other gods before me," is one, and the existence of the golden calf is another good one. But over in the centuries, in probably from 2000 to 1000 BC, the beliefs of a monotheistic religion were set down in this document, the Torah, and that's really what we're going to focus on because there are no remnants of polytheism. And the key idea of the Torah, I think, is this idea of the covenant, which is that people, and in the Torah specifically the Jewish people, have a special relationship with their single God, and that relationship is called covenant. There are actually three. The first is that God will no longer have any floods after Noah. The second is this one in this picture, and that is that God will protect and support Abraham, who is the old man, in return for his obedience to God. And here you see Abraham has obeyed God as far as to kill his son Isaac. God stops him, and Abraham and Isaac are allowed to live. And the third covenant is the covenant with Moses, and this is probably the most important one because this is the covenant that really sees the creation of a Jewish people, of a people of Israel. And this one, God specifically says, "I will protect you, I will enrich you if you follow my law." And that's especially important because it brings us to the idea of Jewish law in general. And one of the most interesting things about Judaism is that it really brings with it a large body of religious law, things that God says are the right things to do and the wrong things to do. And that's the beginning of something that ends up going beyond Judaism, which is called ethical monotheism. And it says, not only do we believe in one God, but we believe that the good and the bad comes from that one God, and that God explained to us what was good and bad by writing down laws and telling us this is good, this is bad. And the Ten Commandments are an excellent example of ethical monotheism, but there are actually hundreds of other Jewish laws as well. From there, we have a large history of these people called, there are lots of words to deal with Judaism. So you can call them the Jews, but sometimes you also use the word Israelites. And one of the reasons for that is that they kind of grouped together in ancient history during the Exodus, and they formed, after the Exodus, a kingdom of Israel. We know that this exists historically, very strong historical evidence for this around the 11th century, and they had wars and battles with other people. One important thing to notice is that this was a kingdom that was created by people who came from someplace else, probably from Egypt, and founded that kingdom. But then they were subsequently invaded by many other people, including the Babylonians. If you look at this picture, shows the sacking of the city of Jerusalem by the Babylonians, and this one shows Romans sacking the city of Jerusalem 700 years later in 70 CE. So it was a kingdom totally under attack. And unfortunately, that idea of the Jews as being oppressed and attacked by others is something that is a terrible theme in Western history. So this map shows Jewish migrations and expulsions, and shows that Jews were forced out of their homes for many times over this period of 1000 to 1500 AD. One of the worst ones was probably in 1492 in Spain, but it happened many other times in many other places. And we call that theme of oppression of the Jews, that's called anti-Semitism. This famous political cartoon is a classical example, but it's just almost hard to look at it. It says the peril Juif, which is the Jewish peril, and kind of paints Jews as these people who are trying to take over the world. Obviously completely ridiculous. And but that's an unfortunate theme in Western history, and it was brought to a terrible conclusion by the Nazis in Nazi Germany during World War II. And the Holocaust there, one of the worst tragedies of all of human history. Jewish people, because of their religion, were rounded up and killed. You can see here that these are the shoes that were left behind by the victims of Hitler's mass murder campaign. After World War II, many Jews were left without a real safe place to live. And even before and during World War II, Jewish people started moving to Palestine, which is where that ancient kingdom of Israel was. And by 1949, that was given nation status by the United Nations. But in the modern world, Jewish populations are all over the world. In fact, the United States is the second largest after Israel population of Jews in the world, but there are large Jewish populations in many countries on all 5 habitable continents. So I hope I gave you some good basic overview about Judaism. I definitely feel like I'm falling short this week. There's just so much to say, but thank you very much for listening, and I hope you tune in next time. We'll be talking about Greek philosophy. Thanks again.